I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to talk about the chart that we use in Vedic sidereal astrology to depict the entire year and what's going to be happening in the United States. So this is called the Pisces new moon chart. And what it is we are looking at the chart for when we have a new moon in Pisces, because this new moon in Pisces is actually the relative starting point of the zodiac in Vedic astrology. So this chart, until the next new moon in Pisces, will span an entire year that we're here to see what this year will be about. So generally the new moon in Pisces is usually in March, or it can be in April as well. So it's just when the moon and the sun come together the same exact degree, and you look at the longitude and latitude of whatever place you're interested in viewing, and you can see what that year will be about for different countries. So I'm using the longitude and latitude of Washington, D.C. Remember that the chart will always be the same, but the houses will vary according to where you are in the world and what area you want to investigate as to making predictions for that entire year for that country. So for the United States, the chart that I'm using here, the new moon chart, when the moon is new in Pisces, is March 27th, 2017, and the time that it becomes exact is 10:57 p.m. in Washington, D.C. And in this chart, the ascendant we have here is Libra. So during this day, you're going to find that the new moon, which is where the sun and moon come together, they're together at 13 degrees of Pisces in the 6th house of this chart. Well, the 6th house deals with enemies. It deals with work issues. It deals with struggles. And I noticed in this chart that in the 6th house, all of this energy is here, but the 6th house can also deal with health and healing, and it also deals with issues around insurance policies and health. So this is going to be transformed, and yes, it won't be easy in the United States for this whole transformation and change, probably like from Obamacare to a new system. Things are going to be quite difficult according to this chart. Because not only do we have the sun and the moon here, they are with Uranus at the 29th degree, the last degree of the zodiac, which is Gandanta, represents drowning, and and it can also mean just flat out losing control, because that's what you feel when you're drowning. You can't get a grasp of things, you can't breathe, you're losing it. So that's what this Uranus can mean at 29 degrees. But I also noticed that these planets all here in the 6th house are in Papakatari. What that means is this house and the planets therein are surrounded by malefics. If you'll notice in this chart, well, in the 5th house is Neptune, K2 being a first-rate malefic, is in the 5th house, and in the 7th house is Mars and Mercury, but the fact that it's Mars, Mercury always kind of takes on the qualities of what planet it's with. Okay, so this becomes aggressive because Mars is in Aries in this chart, very aggressive. But Mars and K2 surrounding the 6th house means it's hemmed in. It can't work, it can't prosper. It's like we call it just hemmed in by malefics, means you're strangled. You're being strangled. So this house, it deals with work, deals with health, and it deals with enemies and struggles, is a major problem for the U.S. Okay? So another planet that's here in the 6th house is Venus. And Venus may seem like a great thing there in the 6th house, which it is a natural benefic, which means it will add and bring some good but it's retrograde, which means its qualities are different. So being in Pisces, its exaltation sign becomes debilitated in Pisces. It just has a whole different quality. And when I look to the Navamsha in this, I noticed that Venus went to its debilitation sign. So Venus doesn't have the strength to really pick up and change the problems and issues in this sixth house. And another variable about what I didn't mention about the sixth house, it deals not only with enemies, but accidents. So I'm getting there can be some kind of accidents going on in the US that are serious. Now, Jupiter is in the 12th house of this chart, casting its rays and aspects to the 6th house, which can be a positive. But sometimes Jupiter just expands and makes things bigger. And in this case, I think this is going to be the end result, that the accidents and events will just be more explosive. Remember, this chart is good all the way till the next year of 2018, around April and March. So there's going to be some major events here dealing with accidents. And because Jupiter's in the 12th house deals with secret enemies. We can't see where they're coming from. So this could be relative to ISIS or terrorism that we can't see or know. Even dealing particularly, I believe, with the information that the media or fake news is all about, that puts so much fear and contention and anger into the individuals in the world. So looking at this, I also noticed that Saturn is in the 3rd house. The 3rd house, remember, deals with communication skills and how we connect, how we relate, everything to do with computers, media, and everything that's been a hot topic lately. It's been on fire. Well, Saturn represents that there has to be some changes. Saturn is in the same sign with Pluto, which is all about control. So Saturn and Pluto are all about control. And when these two planets come together, there is a breakdown of government, of the controls that have been controlling the masses for so long. It will break down. And I think what's happening through the involvement of Trump as president is the key issue, is things are being broken down that needed to really be looked at in terms of the deception, the deceit, the denial, and finally the truth is coming out. But it's tough and it's hard because Saturn's not easy, and Saturn will cause a lot of obstacles along the way. Saturn is aspecting Ketu during this time, which can represent some really hard lessons. And because I see Ketu in the 5th house here, with Neptune and Saturn aspecting it, the 5th house can deal with children, and it can deal with universities and learning, places where the schools, campuses, this can be a place of contention, of violence and problems. Pay attention. There's a depression and things going on that people are afraid of, and problems can happen around schools, universities, these kind of campuses. So watch, be aware, and look out. I just got to say that this is a real definite cry to clean up the news, the media, the lies, the deceit, because Mercury is so afflicted in this chart where Rahu's aspecting it, Mars is sitting on it. So Mercury deals with how we communicate with each other. So therefore, so much anger and arguments and contention throughout this world. Things will not calm down. And in the United States, where there's the most distension and problems, will be around the places dealing with work, will be around the places dealing with enemies and fighting and discord. This is where it's going to hit the United States the hardest. And with the floods, with the Gandanta Uranus, I've often said I still think there's something about the waters being polluted in some way. I don't know if it's a terrorist attack or more than probably pollution from flooding that causes sickness, but the waters are polluted. And watch that. That can even be with radiation. So this is a year where things are about to change and things are going to deal with enemies, fighting, discord, even fighting with one another. So it's like a social revolution, and it's almost like a civil war going on amongst the people for their beliefs. And you see, I think it has to come to a head before it can be healed. And there's some event that's due to happen that will bring all of this to a head, dealing with fighting enemies, discord. And this all has to happen because everything has become way out of balance, and the universe and the divine will bring balance back to the world. And it may seem like a tragic event, but it is all in the laws of nature, and that will bring balance. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like to learn more about me and Vedic astrology or get a reading, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And if you would like to learn Vedic astrology, I have a university, University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.